Party Buff.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Party Buff. I'm here with Ozzy, and our guest of the day, Saff, aka TheWolfGirlX, and today we're going to be talking about VTubers. What they are, why they are, what they do, all the questions that you've had about being a VTuber, and so let's go ahead and get started by welcoming Saff. So hi Saff.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi,
welcome
Saff.
on in.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We set up a bunch of questions for you because I know that this is something that's kind of become a very on-trend thing, and people have questions. So it came recommended that we should do a VTuber channel, and for our podcast here, and that's what we're going to do. So I guess the first question is, what does VTuber stand for? What is a VTuber?
It stands for virtual YouTuber. But I've actually heard it called virtual avatar before, which I kind of like that one because it's not just stuck for YouTubing; it's for every platform.
So we see them on Twitch and YouTube. Where else have you seen VTubers, or do you find VTubers?
Facebook gaming and YouTube Live and things like that. I've seen a few VTubers on there.
I was going to
It's
say,
not just YouTube.
I've seen things like VR chat and stuff like that too, where you kind of have your own personal avatars. I know, I think most of us know Emerald. He's got like an avatar, and I know he uses that like in VR chat and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, you can have you can customize your own and import it into VR chat too. You have to become like a valid member and play it a little bit before you can upload it. But you can have your own avatar in VR chat. Quite fun.
Imagine having a
very
VR
nice.
headset, though.
You don't need a VR headset. You can play the game with just mouse and keyboard. It's free as well.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's
Damn.
free.
That just blew my mind.
I found that out this past week, and I was like, huh. The more you know.
Right? Like, I would assume a game called VR Chat would require you to have a VR headset.
Right.
Wow.
Obviously, it's more fun with the VR headset because you can do a lot more, but it's free to play with mouse and keyboard too.
We're learning new things all the time.
Harry, learned something new today. That's amazing.
All the time, learning new things. And I think one of the big questions that comes across the desk about VTubers is why VTubing and not just a cam or no cam? Why did you pick VTubing in particular?
Ooh. So I actually used to do face cam streams when I first started streaming, and then I just lost all my confidence. I had no confidence whatsoever. And I just thought of like the next best thing, which is having an avatar there, because it moves when I move and it talks and it opens its mouth and I can look around and you guys can see me looking around. It's better to have something there, in my opinion, than not to have something there.
Yeah,
It feels
I can totally
empty.
relate to that.
Out of
It feels
curiosity.
empty.
So
Yes.
I actually know someone else who did the same thing. They kind of started streaming with a camera and switched over to VTubing afterwards. I know you said like you lost your confidence. Was that like you had people coming into your chat and being shitty, or was that just like you were self-conscious being on camera?
I'll see a Switch. Come on, man.
Well,
Come on, man.
I've always considered myself a very introverted person, and like I have chosen to be on camera, but there are definitely days when I'm just like, woof, I do not look good.
Right?
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that because I can just hide behind a cute avatar. I don't have to worry if my head's on point, if I have a spotter in my face.
I gotta worry about that.
Yeah, I definitely have to worry about that.
Yeah. I gotta make sure my beard's on point. Gotta make sure my hair's on point. Sometimes I wish I had an avatar.
I don't have to worry about if my background looks good or not. I can just sit back and relax and put my feet up and be like, yeah. Let's go. I'm good.
There's definitely like I can see the appeal to that. You know what I mean? Like same with on stream, I like pretty much never eat food, and I'm like, I know some friends. I just hear them being like, I'm just having like a sandwich right now, and I'm like,
yeah,
right.
That's the best part.
Dang.
I could be like picking my nose, and you won't even know. It's great.
Yeah.
Dude, the other day I literally ate for the first time on stream, but like I actually turned my camera off for the first time because I was just like,
I've been on stream like with Shelby before, and I always like.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm gonna turn my, no.
I'm like, okay, guys.
See, where for me, it's adorable because you can see my mouth opening and I'm just there like, nom, 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 nom.
Wow.
Yeah,
honestly, it looks like we need to go into VTubing, man. Just
from
to
like a
eat.
convenience standpoint, I definitely see the appeal of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. be able to, and I assume that it's with the confidence issue, it's really helped with your confidence to have the avatar, like you said, you can do what you put behind it. Is that something you've noticed about yourself? Is that you've become a more confident streamer?
Yeah, because people will come in and be like, "Oh my god, I love the floppy ears" and things like that, and I'm just like, "Oh, great," forgetting that I don't actually have floppy ears in real life, and I'm just like,
What?
"Oh."
I mean, for all we know.
I mean, oops, my bad. That was a secret. My bad.
See,
Also,
now
he
we've got the
feels-
behind the scenes.
One thing I've kind of noticed just in the time that I've been streaming, both on Twitch and on Twitter, I feel like VTubers are like very supportive of one another. Like the VTuber community is like
Oh, hell yeah. Yes.
full force behind one another. Kind of
Yeah.
which I've really
Sometimes I will literally go look for VTubers that are streaming the category because I'm like, yes, let's go. And every VTuber, support them. Because we do receive quite a bit of hate too. Because people just don't understand it. It's like, I've been called a furry so many times just because I have the floppy ears. And it's just like, just because I've got the floppy ears doesn't mean I'm a furry. It just means I want the cute little ears. It adds like another little affection. I can jiggle them. Everyone loves it. But you're always going to get haters no matter what you do, I think. You just got to go for it.
So, like, on that note, do you feel like that your avatar represents you well? I know you have a couple of different ones that you kind of switch through, but
oh god, I have so many. I think this one represents me more because this is kind of like my hair color and my hairstyle. But I don't have blue eyes, unfortunately. I always wanted blue eyes as a kid, but never had them.
I feel like that's something that is something that's encouraged you to be a VTuber. Is you can change the avatar to look like the way you said you've always wanted blue eyes. Like you could say, okay, well I don't have blue eyes in real life aside from like getting contacts. Now I can make my VTuber have the eyes that I always wanted.
Yeah, honestly, that's the biggest part. Once you get into it, you just keep wanting more and more changes. Like first you want it to look like you, and then you start playing around with it more, and you're just like, you end up with a whole different complete avatar. And then it doesn't look like you at all.
It's almost like making a character in like a video game, right? It's like
exactly.
Or I could look like a complete badass.
I could look like me, or I could not look like me.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely some appeal.
Like I was telling you the other day, I was just saying like it's almost like trying on a different costume every day. You know what I mean? You can just. I feel like that's a pretty cool thing. You're like, oh, I'm just tired of looking like this today. I'm gonna go change into something else and
role play every day.
Yeah,
role play every day.
You know, your model and everything else. I know there are different programs out there where you can kind of like create models. I know I've seen people talking about like having models created for them and then having other people like do the rigging. Have you like created all of your models, or is it something you've kind of used an outside source for?
So this one my friend created for me. I have created 1 and 2 before in the past. But I'm not that good. I'm not like artsy or anything. There is loads of different things you can use. I know of 2 programs straight away, Blender and VC Face. Oh wait, no, sorry. Vroid Studios. Vroid Studios is on Steam. It's completely free. That's what I use to make my one. And they even offer you like basic avatars that you can go in and like edit yourself if you want to, or you can just use the free avatars they give you. So you can pick it up straight away.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have a special avatar. You don't have to have one made up for you. So like if you have a camera, you can just go straight into it.
Yeah,
and we'll be sure to post links to this at the end.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yes.
I was just going to say that we're going to post some links to the sources that Saff are quoting, so people who are interested in VTubing can take a look at these particular programs or these sources and see if this is something you're interested in. Because I know there are people who, like Saff, have either lost confidence on cam, or they're nervous, or they're shy, or they just want to be represented in a different way than the person that's on cam, but they still want something to represent themselves. So if you're interested in it, we'll post all those links at the end for you to check out for yourselves.
I mean, honestly though, like I can definitely see it from like even a privacy standpoint, because I'm a very private person, and like if I had known about VTubing beforehand, like I may have gone the VTubing route. But then I think, why deprive the world of looking at this sexy face? So maybe I wouldn't have anyways. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it from a privacy standpoint, as in like it could be something used as like, I don't want to showcase myself to the world, and you can live it. You can have your streamer life and your private life very different.
Yeah,
which I think
when I was thinking of like benefits to YouTubing, that was one of the very first things that I thought of myself, was like just the anonymity of it, like people not necessarily knowing what you look like. I know, I have a fiance as well, and she's joined me on stream a few times, and like she has voiced concerns of like, don't tell people too much stuff, don't like, you know what I mean? Like it's just, you don't want people in your lives. The internet's full of crazy people, so I think there's definitely a benefit to VTubing from that standpoint, is like not necessarily having to worry about that quite as much,
Right. And there's some situations. Go ahead, Saff.
Sorry. The best part about it too is like my mom opens up my room and just comes in all the time, but she doesn't want to be on stream.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is like the best of both worlds, because she's not on stream and she's free to enter. Great.
Well, that's another good advantage to it, is if you do have guests who come like barging into your room, or if you have situations where you don't have a private area to yourself to be able to be a streamer, then that way you don't have to worry about, surprise, this person's on camera.
Yeah. My old place that I lived at, my camera was like pointed behind me, was to the door. So every time Shelby wanted to come in, she'd like crack the door, and she never wanted to be on camera. And here, that was one of the things. She's like, can we make sure that the camera's like not pointed at the door so that I can come in when I need to? So she like constantly, when I'm on camera, like when I'm streaming, like will come in to like the side and is like, hey, blah, 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 like whispering stuff to me, you know what I mean? So like she doesn't want to be on camera. So yeah, that's definitely another advantage to it,
Advantages we weren't even aware of are now coming up in conversation. That's the best part of it. And I think that with all the advantages also come the challenges. So what challenges come along with VTubing from the side of like technological standpoints or personal standpoints? What would you say are the biggest challenges or reasons not to be a VTuber?
Ooh, so personally, what I found for challenges is, for me, games constantly make my avatar lag. I'm always like having to mess around with settings and do checks first before, like, I can't just go on stream and enter in a game straight away. I've got to like preset it first and make sure it's not making my avatar lag. You gotta have good lighting too, otherwise the face will freak out. I can't itch my eye or anything without my avatar freaking out, or like have a drink. I can't like just pull up a cup to my face because it will freak the heck out. It can't see my face. If you don't want to like use your own avatars and get one customly made, it's not cheap. It's ridiculously expensive.
I heard there's like I saw like a quote. Like I was browsing Twitter one day, somebody was like, oh, I'll make you a whole rig. And I was like, I wonder how much a rig costs. You know what I mean? Like I was just scrolling through the replies, and some guy goes, like, the same guy goes, oh, it only costs like $1,000. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, I think the cheapest I seen it was $700, and that was just for a model that doesn't like have expressions or like the whole of the model. It's like the face of it, and that's it. And then 2D ones are even more expensive because they're more like in depth, and you can do more expressions and make them look way better. Oh, it's crazy.
That's what I was going to ask, like 2D versus 3D, what the breakdown was there. And I've seen. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, I've also seen like I remember seeing one particular person. It was like whatever their job was, they had access to like a mocap suit, like a $10,000 mocap suit. So they were using that for their model. So like it literally like down to their like fingertips and everything would like mimic everything that they did. And like I saw a video of like, yeah, this is what it looks like at the end of my stream, and it's them like zipping out of the mocap suit, and it's just their model like crumpling and like turning into like a pile of shit on the floor. And I was like, oh my god, it's so funny. But, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of like options depending how in depth you want to get with it,
There is a lot of options. Like for me, I can track my hands. It's not perfect, but it's something, and that's like a little extra.
Does it take your entire arm movement into account, as opposed to just like your hand? Like, can you raise your arm and it follows your arm movement as well?
Not fully. No, I can try. I think like the highest I can take it is about here.
Oh, okay.
Not bad.
Which is above my head, but it's really hard to like track it. It's just a little. I've got it attached to my chest, which most people have it laying down on the desk, but I didn't like that, so I 3D printed a clip for it, and it sits on my chest now. It just attaches to my top. You can also buy them. You don't have to 3D print your own. You can buy them off of Etsy and Amazon and eBay.
So what exactly is it that it's like capturing? Is it just like a little device, or Is it a point?
It's called a leap motion controller. It's pretty much just like a camera. It's just a little mini camera. It's just attached to my chest, like in the middle. You kind of have to like mess around with the settings and kind of get it perfect. And it's even things like you got to get the size correct too, because if you have it too big, it doesn't track your hands very well. That's why I'm like, it's fine for now. I don't want to mess around with it. I could make it better, but at the same time, I could also make it worse.
That's interesting.
I was going to ask about that, about what kind of special equipment you need to have or to use to be a VTuber, if you have to buy particular things, or if, you know, it just tracks you with a webcam.
It depends how in depth you really want to go with it. Like we said, you can go basic and just have like your normal camera, or you can even use a photography camera, just like linked up. Even iPhones are amazing for capturing the face. In fact, I want to upgrade to an iPhone. So even if you have an iPhone like laying around, you could use that to capture yourself. And then you can go more in depth, like with the tracking hands, but it's a bit more money because you're paying for extra equipment. Like I said, mine's the Leap Motion controller. That's what I use. I know there's other things out there that you can use. You just kind of have to research it, unfortunately. And then you can go like Potato Man said, you can have, sorry, so used to call you Potato Man. You can have like full freaking suits of it, like what they would use for movies and things like that.
Oh. What would you say is probably the most cost-effective way for a VTuber to start up if they're new to it or if they're interested in doing it? Like, what's the cheapest way if they just want to experiment with it?
Just buy a cheap basic camera off of like eBay, Amazon, use your phone if you have to, and just go download the free apps and have the basic avatars that they set for free for you. Most people have a camera laying around. They might even be able to stream for their laptop and use the camera on their laptop. Just make sure you have like kind of good lighting around you for the face to track a bit better. But that's even like the extra lighting's extra. For me, I'm lucky enough because I've got the Razer Cairo, so it has the ring light built into it. So I don't have to worry about extra lighting.
Nice.
You mentioned like iPhones. I know I had a buddy of mine who did, so like there's Logitech C920s are a pretty popular webcam for streaming.
I've heard of those, yeah.
They really are.
Side-by-side comparison of that with just like an iPhone 12 and like using both for streaming, and like the iPhone 12 looked significantly better. So I mean, if you have like a newer camera, you can probably do a pretty good setup just for streaming in general, but also for VTubing. You know, if you don't have access to a camera or don't want to spend money on one, you could just use your phone.
Yeah, just buy like a mount somewhere and just mount it on top of your monitor or something like that.
Exactly.
And just
I had never seen that. It's good to know.
Mounts are quite cheap, and you can
even
maybe
you can
just like
get like a ring light with a mount on it for super cheap.
Perfect. That's perfect, because then you have the lighting too. My friend recently just switched from camera to iPhone, and she can scrunch up her nose and you can see it. It's amazing.
Really?
It's pretty awesome.
It's so good. She can stick out her tongue. For me, if I try to stick out my tongue, I just open up my mouth. But she has like an actual tongue come out now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Technology, man. Crazy.
That's pretty cool.
The features now, crazy. Man. Damn.
But she's also got a 2D model. So like 2D models are kind of more like advanced like that. So that's never a reason for a 2D model. They can do extra expressions.
Do you so I was gonna ask, do you happen to know, I know you mentioned some games when you play them it sort of like messes with your model or slows your model down. Do you know if that's because it's just kind of a draw, I would assume, on like your GPU, like your graphics card rendering everything, or
Maybe. I tend to find if I mess around with the settings first, it kind of works out for me.
Yeah.
If I just like drop the settings down. I mean, I have the personally I have the 3070, so it should be able to handle most freaking things.
Gotcha. Yeah, it should be fine with it. I was just kind of curious. I know like the other thing I was going to ask is like what streaming software you use, because I know like Streamlabs OBS, for example, is just like tanks my computer.
It's like, no, thank you.
I just use normal OBS.
OBS, okay. I've considered switching over to that as well, but I know like Streamlabs OBS, it every time I launch that program. I don't even have to be doing anything. Like I'm not even streaming it. It's just like, yeah, you're everything.
Bye.
Yeah, it's terrible.
No, you should switch to OBS. They even have a thing where you can
to.
carry your stuff over. Hello, Hans.
I was gonna say, it just seems like a lot of work. I'm lazy. I'll do it someday.
He is called Potato Man for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I need to go over there and set this thing up for you?
I mean, can you?
I know, right?
I've been pushing him towards OBS since I don't even know. Long time
very
now.
lazy, okay? I don't know what you want from me.
I tried.
Well, talking about
OBS.
talking about VTubing, like, do you feel like there are, like, you think the number of VTubers is growing? Because I know, like, a little while back, like, I did see that there was a huge popularity, like, everyone wanting to be a VTuber, but now it's just like I feel like I've seen a lot less.
In fact, I think I found a lot more. I constantly have people asking me for like avatar. People automatically assume because I have an avatar, I can make one for them. It's like, no.
That's gotta be annoying. That's gotta be annoying too, especially if you do something. People are like, it's like, also you probably knows this. You know, if you work with computers, people just assume you know everything about a computer, and you always have time to help them out with their computer issues. It's like, no, dude, I got my own things to do. Buzz off.
Like, I'm busy. I can't do everything for you.
Yeah.
No, I've had recently a lot of people have asked me about VTubing and like what software I use and where's the best way to get like an avatar and things like that. I feel like a lot of people are trying to get back into VTubing.
Let's do a lightning round to that effect. Let's do the lightning Saff answer rounds. You've been asked a lot of things by us and by your community. So now think of the questions that your community has harassed you with the most, and let's do the quick question and answer round from Saff to the community. And then anytime they ask, you can just be like, link to the podcast. Look, go watch this, and then all your answers are right there. So question and answer round, questions you've received the most and answers you have for them.
Okay, perfect. This is going to be awesome. What program do I use? VC Phase. How did I make my avatar? My friend made it for me, but like I mentioned before, you can go get free avatars from VRoid Studio. Where do I download these? The internet. go on Google these things. VRoid Studio is also on Steam, which is a massive help because it's also translated it to English for you. What do I use for my hand tracking is one I get all the time. Leap Motion. It's plugged in by a USB cable. Like I said, you got to calibrate it up right. Can I make avatars? No, not really. I'm bad at it. I don't have an arty bone in my body. I'm bad. I can't even draw stickmen right. I can't draw stickmen.
Yeah, I'm insane.
What makes you think I can make avatars? Am I a furry? No. No, I am not a furry. That has to be answered. Do I hate people for being furries? No, I don't hate anyone for being who they want to be. I want people to be happy at the end of the day. I'm just not one myself. Just because I have fluffy ears and they wiggle doesn't mean I'm a furry. This one's totally not streamer related, but do I know how to bullet jump? Yes.
Bullet jump?
I have to. I've been playing Warframe recently, and that's like the question I get asked the most.
Yeah,
I love that question because everybody knows what that is, and I'm just over here going, the what?
Who's jumping over bullets now? Damn kids these days. Is that gonna be trend on the TikTok? On the talk tips these days?
I thought that was a like Borderlands related question.
That's my number one asked question right now.
Really?
I just had to. Yeah.
I obviously need to play Warframe then, because I was thinking you were talking about like Borderlands grenade jumping. And it was like, do you know how to jump over a fence using a grenade? On Borderlands I do. Absolutely.
Oh.
Love it.
I think that's all the questions, really.
No, have you done your mastery yet?
I will go over there and I will slap you. I love how they ask that, but every time you go onto your ship, it literally reminds you to do the mastery.
Yeah, it's kind
great.
I'm gonna kind of touch on briefly. This is my Aussie confessions here.
Oh no, is that time?
Oh no.
You mentioned getting like VTubers kind of like getting hate, right? And I wouldn't say, I don't hate VTubers. I'm just gonna say that now. I
hate
remember when I
VTubers.
first started streaming, like looking for people to raid, and you know, I usually go for like people with cameras, just because I would rather somebody with a camera than like not a camera. Because realistically, for me, like I'm there to like chat with the person more so than like watching them play games. And I remember when I first started streaming, like seeing people who had like VTubing models and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I'd always just be like, I don't know, I'd rather go to somebody with a camera. And I think there was like, I don't know if I was just like the crotchety old man who like didn't understand what VTubing was, you know what I mean? I think when I first started out, I'd like, have you guys ever seen Gran Torino? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
It was just like a crotchety old man who like hates everybody. Like I feel like that was me when I first started streaming. I was like, damn VTubing kids, I don't understand it. And like,
Get off my Twitch lawn.
Like, I didn't like see the appeal of it. I don't know. And then I think I've since then, you know, made a few friends who like have VTubing models, and I'm like, oh, this is fine. Like it's just the same as hanging out with anybody else. I just, you know, they're not necessarily wanting to be on camera, which again, I totally understand the appeal of. But I think there was, to some extent, like maybe just not understanding it kind of pushed me away from like people using VTube models. I just didn't really like understand the appeal of it for the longest time, I guess.
I was with you there. When I first started out streaming, I was the same way, Aussie.
Yeah. I don't
Same
know.
thing.
I feel like a lot of people's like that too, to be honest with you. And plus, you like seeing the person's reaction to when they get like raided.
Right.
It's nice to see it face to face. To be like, oh, I can put a like, even just putting a voice to a face to a voice kind of thing. Because I get asked constantly like, what do you look like? What do you look like? And it's just like, well, hi.
Yeah, I see YouTubers doing like face reveals constantly on Twitter and shit. Like once
Man, the one, no, dude.
Reveal.
Yeah, the face review or like feet review or thigh review. I'm like, what the heck is going on here, dude?
Oh,
dude, can I do that? Can I have like a subathon to do like a thigh reveal?
Right? Yeah, that's what gets everyone in.
I know this is something that we were just talking about, how rating a VTuber always felt kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. And speaking from my perspective, now watching you right now, Saff, is very easy for me, and it's easy on my eyes because you're on a black background. But I have a minor neurological issue where certain graphics are very confusing to my face, and I just can't process. So if something's moving in the background and the foreground is moving at a different speed, it's very disturbing for me, and I can't watch it. Not for very long anyway, including even newer graphics and newer games. I have to turn them off after probably 15 minutes. I can't get that far into it. It's just far too much for my brain. So I think that one of the reasons I have trouble, I know another VTuber, Bex, who is a dear friend, but I have to lurk in her channel. I can't watch it. It's so hard on my eyes to have the game going on in the background and then having the VTuber green screened into the front. It's two different speeds of motion. So I don't want my VTuber friends to feel like, oh, you're not rating me because you don't love me. No, that's not the case. I just want to be involved, and I can't because my eyes are so screwy, and I can't actually follow the processes. So you were talking about your settings and smoothing things out and making things run smoothly. Do you ever find that if you're watching or reviewing your stream, watching your VODs, or even doing the preview before you start, that you see how the graphics would be confusing unless you had like a camera border where you're a separate screen entirely as opposed to being green screened over the game? And do you think that might help people like myself who just can't focus on two things at once like that?
No, I think that's actually a really good idea. They can even have like you said, like a borderless background, a camera frame to like separate the game and have themselves on there. That's actually a really good idea. I didn't actually think about that. You don't really think about these things until someone mentions it to you.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's like not for lack of love.
Oh no, that's understandable. I mean, the fact that you're still lurking in the streams just proves that you want to support them. I love Bex too. Like I know of Bex. She is absolutely amazing. I can personally, for you, I can understand that. For most people, they can sort of be there and watch, but the fact is you still leave a lurk for her. You're still supporting her. Even though you want to be there and talking to her, that's understandable. I mean, the whole reason you go into people's streams is you want to talk to them if you can. No, I feel like if you look into it more, I feel like there's something you can definitely do about that. I would have to
think
like
it's
Google
helpful.
myself.
To have a
look into
stagnant
that.
background, just to have something that the background itself is limited. I've watched people who green screen themselves too. I green screen myself on my own stream much of the time. I don't have my background. I've got my green screen on the ground behind me, just so I don't take up a lot of space. But I do like to keep the border, just so there's an obvious camera break between myself and the game. But the game is animated, or computer graphics, or what have you. It's not a real background that would be very confusing to watch if I was green screened on top of a real background. As an avatar, you are a computer generated model sitting on top of computer generated models. So it's something that's very confusing if it's green screen, because it's like, are you want to look at it and you go, oh, this person's part of the game and that's super cool. But it's so confusing, at least on my side, with my eyes being the way they are. And I don't know if there are other people out there, and buffers, please let us know if you've also had a problem watching somebody's stream strictly because of the foreground background confusion that comes along with being integrated into your video chat. I just didn't know if you had people bring it up in your stream that it was something that they struggled with as well. If you had chatters who said, I'd love to watch, but I just can't.
Personally, I haven't yet, but I feel like in due time, there could be people like that. Just because I haven't doesn't mean no one else has. We're all different at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like you said, you could have like another background, or even if they just switch scenes for a little while, like just put the like game on pause for a second and just change to a scene. Yeah, just have like take a mini break and just switch to a scene where you can just sit there and chat with them and there's nothing moving in the background. Like just chatting or something. They can switch to just chatting for a moment, take a break from that game, talk to you whilst you're there, and then they can go back to the game and you can go and lurk.
Right.
I feel like that could be an idea. Or even like you said, have like a border background to sort of counteract that. You can make something like that up if you want to.
One thing I was going to mention, just as you were talking about that already, back when I was first starting to like set all my equipment up and get my stream running and everything else, spent hours upon hours just in YouTube videos checking out, advice and everything else, which I think like a lot of us probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the things that I saw consistently over and over was whatever you choose, whatever like frame rate you choose to run your stream at, try to make sure that your camera matches that. Because if you're running a game at 60 FPS and your camera's at 30, it's going to look screwy. If you're running a game at 30 FPS and your camera's at 60 FPS, it's going to look screwy. So I saw a lot of stuff trying to say, like, basically try to match those things up, because, even outside of VTubing, just on normal streams, if you have different frame rates for everything, it just looks kind of off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You either have like a really polished tiny little camera with like a really shoddy looking giant screen, or you have a great looking giant screen with a really, tarnished looking camera. So I think I think that kind of goes like both ways, but yeah.
I think a border would help with that too, though, because if you're playing, if your camera's running at 60, but you're playing, say, Final Fantasy IV, or something where you have a really low process rate, because the game itself was old style.
If I could turn my camera down to 8-bit, I would be all over that.
Oh yeah, 8-bit cam.
Pixelated view of you.
That's my new VTuber avatar, by the way. That's the one I'm choosing, is 8-bit version of myself.
8-bit Artie.
8-bit Artie, let's go.
8-bit Artie.
Back it.
I'd do it.
Actually,
I'd do it.
Actually, should change your name to that. Actually, 8-bit Artie. I like it. It has a nice ring to it.
And then just do
8-bit
nothing
Artie.
but retro games.
Yeah, nothing but retro games exclusively.
I'll be sure to add that to my channel list of things that I need to do if I ever get around to having time to do it. As we say, as every podcast we do is completely off of some weird schedule. Yeah, I'll get around to that.
Yeah.
Someday.
I like that idea.
That would be interesting to see, not just 2D models for VTubers, but people who intentionally chose like 32-bit, 64-bit avatars just to... I don't even know if that's a thing.
Get like the Mario 64 face and people can like stretch it. Do you remember that? The opening of Mario 64.
I do remember that.
Oh my god.
Back in the day.
Yep.
That's close to that feels. Do y'all have any further questions for our dear Saff before we come to the end of our podcast here?
I don't think so. I feel like we touched on a lot today.
I feel like we interviewed you quite a bit, interrogated her enough.
I was gonna say, giving her the takedown.
I have no more questions.
We've given her the third degree over here. What about you, Saff? Do you have any advice for starting off VTubers or people who have asked you questions or anything to say to your fans and friends out there in the podcast world?
Honestly, just go for it. I've had many people come ask me, but like, should I start VTubing, or should I do it? And I'm just like, go for it. If you feel comfortable hiding behind an avatar for whatever reasons, do it. If you feel like it's gonna make you safe and you get to relax, you go for it. I'm all for it. I will happily support them. Just do it.
You heard it from the wolf's mouth, right there. You've been doubting, just try. Just go for it. Do the thing. Saff has spoken.
Shia LaBeouf up in here.
Yeah, just do it.
All of us at once, just do it. Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. So thank you again to Saff for being on with us about VTubing. Thanks again to Az and Aussie and I am GoodRootsGames for continuing to stick with us for Party Buff. Even whenever our schedules have been hectic, we're still here for you. And if you have any ideas for future podcasts, please let us know. If you'd like to be a guest on Party Buff, please reach out to Az, Aussie, or myself, and we'll talk about bringing you on. And let us know if you have anything in particular you are questioning about your streaming or about your gaming, and we'll do our best to answer your questions from here and forward. Thanks again, and we're going to see you next time.
Take it easy.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Party Buff.